Welcome to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, where experienced sales leaders Kevin Lawson and Sean O'Shaughnessy tackle the real-world challenges of building high-performing sales teams. In this episode, they dive into what every new sales manager must master in their first 90 days, earning trust, setting realistic expectations, and learning the business from the inside out. You'll discover why understanding your people, your processes, and your company's levers of growth is the foundation for true sales success. Stay tuned to learn how the smartest sales leaders turn their first 90 days into a launchpad for lasting revenue generation.
Welcome back to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. So in this episode, we're going to talk about something I don't think we've ever really dug into, Kevin, very much. And that is, you're a brand new sales manager, or you're a CEO of a company. You just hired your first sales manager. So you've had some salespeople, but now it's time for a sales manager. And there's two types of scenarios here. One is I promoted somebody internally to be my sales manager. So I took the top salesperson or the most confident salesperson and I made them my sales manager. The second thing that I could have done, or the second option I could have had, is I hired it from the outside, right? There was a sales leader or somebody that had sales leadership skills, and I brought them into my company and I brought them on. But what do they do in the first 90 days? Now, I have talked, and Kevin and I have talked together about the first 90 days of a new salesperson and how we have to get that new salesperson. There's some episodes you can go back to and listen to if you want to do that. But this is, what are the first 90 days of a sales leader? What should the owner of the company think that they should be doing? And what should the sales leader, who has to be a little bit self-managed? Let's face it, if you are a leader, you are by definition self-managed with inputs from your board of directors, i.e. your boss. But what do you expect yourself to do? How do you expect yourself to get up to speed, to being ready to go in that first 90 days as quickly as possible? And Kevin, you've started yourself on a variety of opportunities in your career where you've been that sales leader and you had to think about, what am I going to do first and how am I going to do second? I know you know a lot of sales leaders, so let's share some best practices, some ideas that will help not only the owner, but also the sales leader figure out, how do I start my job when I just got tagged to do it?
Let's start with the owner, because that's an expectation management. And then we can move into the sales leader, because that's a personal, how do I onboard myself? How do I ingratiate myself with the sales team or the rest of the organization? Because sometimes sales leaders come in and there's 1, 2, or 10 salespeople that they've got to get to know, plus the market, plus the board, plus the distribution model, plus the nuances of all competition, communication, that kind of stuff. So starting with the owner. If you're hiring a person to lead sales for you, know that there is not a finger snap or a silver bullet moment. This is not a, hey, if your sales are broken, behind, or recovering, or maybe you're in a really great spot where you're having meteoric growth, the sales leader who comes in is not going to make or change a difference materially in the first 30 and 60 days, because there's only so much trust that can be earned in that time. And trust is a currency, so it's got to be earned by customers, by salespeople, by peers. There's a lot of things a salesperson or sales leader can do to earn that trust, but you got to do the work. You got to carry the water in a lot of cases. So leaders, owners, I want to challenge you to think about, what should a likely outcome be if nothing were to change? And that's your benchmark. If you as a business owner are growing at 4%, 5%, 50%, doesn't matter the percentage, just know that when the sales leader comes in, that trajectory is not going to move much in the first little amount of time, because that new leader, they're still figuring out everything, because they've gone through the interview process. They've done some publicly available marketing research, collateral research, but they're going to start getting in your books and understanding your products. Like, it's a product rationalization, it's a people rationalization, it's a go-to-market plan. If your plan has been show up and work hard, that's not a strategy. That's a grind. And if you're hiring somebody to implement a strategy, they've got to consider where you're trying to go as a business, what is the most likely path? This is an inside out kind of analysis. What's the most likely path? And what are the things that you're not doing that you should be, which is hey, what are we going to change? And then what's the likelihood of those things that are changing, hitting, sticking, making an impact? And again, not to make this more complicated, but it is, on what timeline will those changes have an impact up, down, left, right on your pipeline, your sales process, and your close rate, and your invoiceability? I'm making up a word there. But the idea is that if you're selling products, you might be putting something on a sales order, transacting and getting the cash, or the product out, cash in. But if you're selling a service or a project, not a product, you're having a booking event, you're having a kickoff event, an implementation, and a completion timeline. Sometimes your sales process can be 180 days, and your delivery process could be 365 days or more. So thinking about your expectations as a leader is really important, to not say, hey, I'm going to give this sales leader 180 days to make an impact. If you're thinking 6 months is a turnaround, there's probably some things you can turn around, but to change the trajectory and direction of an organization, 6 months is a relatively short time window. So I say all that to say this: set your expectations appropriately. And as a business owner, you have a lot more latitude to take deals than sales leaders and salespeople. If you say, hey, I'm a business owner, and if I want to go take a deal to keep people busy, I can take it at a very low margin. But when you add a salesperson who has incentives, or sales leader with incentives to go and grow the business, they don't have the same motivation. Their internal motivation is, and should be, make more money and have more fun. So they got to sell stuff at a profit. They can't just sell stuff to keep people busy, because if they're selling stuff to keep people busy, you and your CFO are going to say, hey, why are we selling stuff so cheap? Right? So we've got different masters we're serving there, just based on our roles. So Sean, I've talked a lot about the owner side of that. Let's talk about the sales leader and their internal self-managed first 90 days.
Thank you very much. You gave some great examples there, Kevin. So I'm going to do one more CEO thing. And before I slide that in, because it's actually going to be a great segue for myself. Owners, what I really want to encourage you not to ever do is to say, look, the basketball floor is all clean except for that one spot. The systems are all working fine except for that one thing. And that one thing was just too hard for me to deal with. I'm hiring you, sales leader, and your first job is to clean up that floor. Get it clean, get the bathroom clean. Yeah, the toilet's a mess. That's your job. Go clean it up. And I've seen this before where there's that one salesperson that the sales leader or the CEO is completely lost confidence in. He just doesn't want to let that person go. And so he hires a sales leader, says, by the way, you do your own evaluation of your people, but you're going to fire Sam in 6 months. And just let you know that I've made that decision. You're going to do that. You're going to fire Sam in the first 6 months, maybe the first 60 days. Don't do that. Don't do that as a CEO. You need to take care of that problem before you turn it over to the sales leader, right? Don't make that new sales leader be the bad guy in that situation. But as the sales leader, if they get that situation, and if they get told, hey, you got to take care of Sam, that's fine, because you should be doing your one-on-ones and making those decisions yourself. So if you did get given that opportunity and that challenge to have to take care of that bad salesperson, and your CEO wasn't listening to our podcast in advance of you being promoted, then you do need to inherit that problem, and you need to own it, and you need to take care of it. Don't push it back up. You now have the job. So the first thing that you need to do when you get going is figure out, what tools do you have to play with? What tools are in your toolbox to make your plan? So you probably don't have the ability to change your plan. The CEO of the company, the CFO of the company, they gave you, we have to do $10 million this quarter. We have to do $10 million every quarter. And we got to grow that 15%. That was probably dictated to you as a sales leader for the most part. You may have some input into that. But now, as a brand new person, you need to figure out, what tools do you have in your toolbox to actually build that and make that happen? So those tools are your sales people. So the first thing you need to do is go become friends with your salespeople. And you don't have to be friends. You have to be friendly. You need to be friendly with your salespeople without being friends with your salespeople. It's just a part of being a manager. Best way to do that is do one-on-one meetings with them. Spend some one-on-one quality time. That might be windshield time if you have a driving territory, if you have a driving area that you sell to. You get in the car, they're driving, and you're sitting in the shotgun seat and you're just checking up on things. And be careful that you don't talk about too much business. Try really hard to learn about them, learn about what makes them tick, makes them important. So do that. The other tools in your department are things that Kevin and I have talked about over and over again on this podcast, and that is the other departments in the company. How well do you have a relationship with the marketing department? How much do you know about the supply chain department, the purchasing department? How are you framing that? If you're a manufacturer, how well do you understand the manufacturing process? The little process of, I get raw materials come in this door, I go through, I work on it, and I ship it out the other door. And what's that process look like? And who runs that process? And how does that work? You need to learn the company inside and out as a sales leader, because what's going to happen before long is a salesperson is going to have a challenge that you're going to have to help them with. And you're going to go, we need to bring in Frank from manufacturing to talk about that issue. And if you don't know who Frank is, then you can't do that very well. So learn your team, both the tools that are inside your toolbox, the ones that you effectively manage, as well as the ones that you have in other people's toolboxes that you can borrow. What do the rest of the team look like? What does the organization look like? And if you do have to take care of that broken tool, do it quickly, do it kindly, try to make that person like it with a future that is brighter than where they are today. Remember, that person is probably not very happy on your team. And so you're trying to make their life better by giving them an opportunity to find somewhere else to work that will make their life better. So Kevin ended on a down point. So I hope you can swing this thing back up and make it a little bit more exciting.
I'm a glass half full kind of guy, so that shouldn't be too hard. When you have that broken tool, there's also a lot of tools that you may not know exist. So in your first few months as a sales leader, not only do you need to know how the business operates, but you also need to understand at a deeper level the levers that you're pulling inside the business. What business levers are being pulled around you and which ones you have available to pull. Fun part of that is just understanding on a sales team, who's a salesperson, who's an account manager, and who's a customer service. Like who's an order maker, a door opener, who's a order taker, one that's probably good at relationships, but not necessarily good at prospecting. Like you got to figure out the sales team. So not only understanding where you are and what you have, but also figuring out what other things are available. A lot of learnings that I see with sales teams is the aha moments. I didn't know we could do it that way. And that can come in the form of looking at the vendor that you work with. Maybe if you're selling someone else's solution or creating solutions based on other people's products, you've got all these pieces of the puzzle that you can use and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Vendor Partner, what marketing co-op dollars do you have that I can use to help win the hearts and eyes and minds of my prospects? Because we both win. You can look across the spectrum of your other products and say, hey, these are the other products and solutions I sell. Do any of those have the opportunity to be broken down into smaller components that we can sell to give someone an opportunity to give us a try? How can we create a first win with a new customer? Too often, sales leaders come into companies. I've seen this in my practice. I come into a company and I say, hey, you've got these 20 or 30 solutions, but really you've got 100 solutions that are rolled up into these 20 or 30 solutions. So decoupling them or repackaging them in a way that makes more sense commercially. So if you haven't listened to some of our other podcasts about marketing and sales alignment, ICP and value prop and personas, go back and listen to those, because that's exactly what I'm talking about here. Finding the solution that people need, not the products we have. Too often companies have this mindset or this tunnel vision that says, I can only sell this product this way. And part of your value as a new sales leader is being able to cut through all that noise and not have to have the history or legacy of we've always done it that way, and be able to take that forward with your sales team and shift their mindset, shift your mindset, shift your customer's mindset. If people only know you as a solution A provider, you might have a solution A plus B that allows you to be more valuable to them as a vendor. So that's that outside in kind of thinking. What is the market asking for, demanding, or requesting? that we haven't necessarily offered before, but we could because of all the solutions that we have. So we're coming right here to the end of our episode time. Our commitment to you is 15 minutes every Tuesday at 4:30, just so we can stay aligned to that. If you want to dig into this conversation more, Sean and I would like to lean into you and your opportunity to come join us in a private community, B2B Sales Lab. That's B2B-sales-lab.com to sign up for our private community of sales leaders and professionals where we come together to solve problems like this for your business. We hold office hours to do exactly that, to answer your questions in real time and other ways. Digital community, B2B-sales-lab.com. Hope to see you there, and hope to see you again next week, where we'll unpack the next issue that we're all trying to solve as sales leaders and salespeople. Until then, happy selling.
What an insightful conversation today. I really enjoyed how Sean and Kevin unpacked the art of building relationships and learning the business as a new sales leader. Their reminder that the first 90 days aren't about quick wins, but about understanding your team, your company, and your market is a lesson every sales manager should take to heart. When Kevin explained how discovering the hidden tools and levers within your organization can unlock new ways to sell and deliver value, it truly reframed how I think about effective sales leadership. And that significant actionable item, creating your own 90-day integration plan, is pure gold. It's not just a checklist, it's your roadmap to credibility, clarity, and measurable progress. Don't wait to implement it. Take time today, before the rush of your daily business takes over, to sketch out your plan, because the best sales leaders act with intention from day one. If you'd like help sharpening your sales strategy, improving your sales management skills, or growing your company's revenue, reach out to Sean or Kevin. Their contact information is right there in the show notes. And don't forget to join the B2B Sales Lab, a private community where sales professionals and leaders collaborate, share strategies, and get real answers to real sales challenges. The lab is packed with resources designed to help you hit your quota and achieve lasting success. You'll find the link to join at b2b-sales-lab.com in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales on your favorite podcast player, so you never miss an episode packed with practical insights, proven strategies, and the energy you need to lead your team to sales success.